All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are now going to talk about Jacob deGrom. And, all right, don't know why my back. All right, here we go. The backup camera is now is fully operational here. So, Jacob deGrom. Last year, he did make his return briefly. He went 2-0 with a 2.67 ERA in 6 starts. But he hasn't pitched a full season since 2019. Because 2020, was the COVID season. He started in 15 games in 2021, 11 games in 2022, only in 6 games in 2023. And then, last year, actually, no, I think I was looking at the, but yeah, last year he only pitched in 3 games. It was 2023, he pitched in 6 games. And then he had to get Tommy John. But he's dealt with having to get Tommy John surgery, elbow injuries. Well, yeah, that's what Tommy John is, with shoulder, wrist, you name it. And that's 41 innings over the past 2 seasons. So yeah, basically hasn't pitched in a full season since 2019. And it's you're hoping he bounces back. Now, still working through some things this year, this spring training, trying to get himself right for the regular season. And the Rangers, they're not going to, put him at the front line of the rotation. He's going to be a back of the rotation guy as we start. And hopefully, when we get to the second half, maybe he opens up the second half for the Rangers. Rangers are one of those teams that could really bounce back. If their pitching's right, if their lineup bounces back, because there were guys that were hurt last year, guys underperformed like Adolis Garcia. He had a disappointing year last year. Rangers could be a team that, is dangerous. Corey Seager, also a guy that was hurt last year. But Jacob deGrom, during his time with the Mets, he was one of the best pitchers to watch whenever he was ready to go. Whenever his day came around, even myself as a Yankee fan would want to tune in and watch because what he was doing was special. You go back to his days with the Mets. 2018, 32 starts. He had a 1.7 ERA, and he was 10-9. The Mets couldn't score for him. Following year, went 11-8 with a 2.4 ERA. Got off to such a great start in 2021. He was 7-2 with a 1.08 ERA. And actually, he made his first career start against the Yankees. I remember that. That was Jeter's last year. And I believe the pitcher that went against him, and don't ask how I remember this, I think the pitcher that went against him was Chase Whitley. It was either him or Tanaka. But I do remember he made his major league debut against the Yankees. And he really turned out to be a very good pitcher. And he went through, a tough stretch. At one point, there was that infamous, a shot of him. I believe he was in tears, in the dugout. And Terry Collins went over to him and, was talking to him. Terry Collins was very influential with him, and he was part of a World Series team. I think it was that year. It was 2015. And you had that rotation with him and Syndergaard and Matt Harvey and Steven Matz. It was a very good rotation. And unfortunately, didn't last very long. But they helped propel the Mets to the World Series that year. And like I said, deGrom was like must-see TV if you're a baseball fan. But, injuries caught up to him, and, he was very disappointed when he got hurt in 2023. He was in tears then. He was able to get that World Series ring, but, he wanted to be a part of that. And if the Rangers bounce back here, he's going to be a big reason for it, you hope. And it's amazing because he's 36 years old now, and like I said, I remember he made his debut. He's been in the league for a while now. I was in I was in my freshman year. I was either in my freshman year. No, I was in. No, I was in. I was still in middle school when he made his debut. And now, I'm a few years removed from college. It's time flies. Time's going way too fast. But the Rangers, obviously, they want to be careful with him. They signed him. How much was that contract? It was a big contract. They took a huge gamble signing him. So it was a 5-year, $185 million contract. And the average salary was $37 million a year. They took a huge gamble. And look, they got a World Series. So you could kind of live with it, I guess. But you want to see deGrom go out there and try to, get to almost 30 starts. If he can get to almost 30, you get 20 plus starts out of him this year, you'll take that. But you hope that, if you're deGrom, an injury doesn't come up again. I hope not for his sake. I want to see him pitch. With Garrett Cole being down, it's maybe deGrom goes out. I mean, obviously he's not pitching in New York anymore. It was a shame when deGrom was still, it was a shame we never got to see, Garrett Cole at his peak with the Yankees and Jacob deGrom at his peak with the Mets. We never got to see them go at it. Pitcher's duel there. Even though Met fans will be like, well, look at what Garrett Cole did against the Mets last year. Yeah, well, here's the thing. You don't have to worry about Garrett Cole this year. Oh, or we don't have to worry, or the Yankee fans don't have to worry about Garrett Cole against the Mets this year because he's going to be out for the year. Nah, it's horrible. It's horrible. But yeah, that was one thing I would have loved to have seen with both of them pitching in New York is Cole and deGrom going at it, but we never got that. We never got it. So, and we're not going to get it this year. We're not going to get it in a championship series if it came down to that because Garrett Cole's not gonna be there. And I don't want to get into the Yankees, but it's just they always find their way. I mean, look, come on, I got them. They're my backdrop. They got it, and we're talking baseball. I gotta mention them at least once. But yeah, I mean, my expectations for deGrom, his velocity is at, I think it was around like 95. It topped at 97. And this is a guy that used to throw 100. But, obviously, it's the velocity is dipped. But he's, there's going to be some rough patches during the year. But I do think that he'll put together a nice year. I don't think we're going to see, some of the numbers that I was throwing at you guys, with the Mets. I don't think he's going to pitch to a sub-2 ERA. But I think deGrom can pitch well. I think he could be, a variant of what he once was. But not, like I said, not going to pitch to a 170 ERA. It's just not happening. And you've seen these older pitchers. Like, look at Justin Verlander. Look at Max Scherzer. I mean, Scherzer and Verlander, now are starting to, show their age. But Justin Verlander, got Tommy John at an older age, and he comes back and, he won the Cy Young. And he's still, he's still pitching. Scherzer's still pitching. So, who's to say deGrom, who's, in his mid-30s, he can't come back and, be effective. And he was on his way to being, he is an all-time great. He's got a chance here to continue to build up his resume and, maybe, hey, if the Rangers go on a run again and they win a World Series and he plays a huge role in that, that really helps his Hall of Fame status. It really is unfortunate because you have to wonder what would have happened if he never dealt with injuries. How his career would have turned out. How much better would his numbers be? But we could play that game with everyone. So, hey, let's see what he does. I'm curious to see how he looks. The Rangers, they're one of those teams, like I said, I think that they can bounce back. from, last year underperforming. 2023 was just such a weird year. What a random World Series we got. Rangers Diamondbacks. That's like something you would see if you simmed your MLB The Show franchise 10 years. And look, no offense to those teams, but it was just such a random World Series. And then the following year we get Yankees Dodgers. So there you go, I mentioned the Yankees again. But it's just, and then the year before that we got the Astros and the Phillies. But in between that, Rangers Diamondbacks? Where did that come from? Hey, maybe we get that again. See, if it happens this year, then you're like, okay. Diamondbacks with their pitching, Corbin Burns they got. The Rangers, you hope they bounce back. Everybody stays healthy. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia. They signed Jock Peterson. deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi has a World Series. Well, he's got 2 World Series now with the Rangers and the Red Sox. Former Yankee, by the way. Gonna mention the Yankees again. Now I'm just doing it to troll whoever's watching this, but now if I saw that Jacob deGrom against Corbin Burns, Game 1 of the World Series, wow, that would be a heck of a pitching matchup. Maybe we'll see that. Well, we might see that during the regular season. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think though about deGrom. What do you think he's going to do this season? I think he'll be okay. I don't think he's gonna be awful. I just think there are things he's gonna have to work through. The Rangers are gonna be careful with him, but I think if he's able to make 20 plus starts, I think he'll be effective. I think he'll be effective. I think he's too good, and like I said, you see how these older pitchers and how they've bounced back from significant injuries. I'm hoping for the same thing out of Garrett Cole next year, but who knows? We got a long way to go before that, but we'll see what happens with deGrom. Let me know what you guys think, though, what to expect from him this year, deGrom. So we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we'll continue our season overviews. We will cover the Miami Dolphins when we come back on our next break, or our last break. So with that being said, for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.